Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Sorry for the delay. Just before we get started, a few housekeeping items to go over. Today's call is being recorded, so if you have to drop off at any point or if you want to review at your leisure, feel free to watch the recording. It'll be available within 24 hours. There's a Q&A window on the left-hand side of your screen. If you have questions as we're going, feel free to submit them there. We'll do a Q&A session at the end of the call to go over all of those questions. There's also a resource list on the left-hand side of your screen, and today's PowerPoint is there for download. So if you'd like that, feel free to download it now. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Party.
Thank you, Jordan. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for this version 5 update of the MarWatch platform. Just a quick sort of history and background of Martello. Martello is the developer of MarWatch, the fault and performance management software that's specifically designed for the Mitel infrastructure and unified communication systems. Today's webinar, I'll give you an overview of MarWatch and particularly a glance of what's new and coming soon towards the end of this month. So, why MarWatch? What's the business case? Well, it really is the new standard for proactive fault and performance management. It's a competitive differentiator and has become, as I mentioned, the new standard, fault and performance management. Rather than being reactive, in today's world we understand a lot of partners and customers out there are waiting for issues to happen and then responding subsequently. What MarWatch will allow you to do is to be ahead of the curve and recognize impending problems before they become business impactful. So, proactive support for business success. So I just mentioned this. We can detect and address problems before they impact the user, particularly the business. MarWatch is a software as a service, and that's important. It's a cloud-based solution that manages and monitors Mitel unified communications equipment and the associated network infrastructure. It allows for service quality, ensuring that the network itself is running smoothly, and of course this will help your business. It's a key differentiator. You can no longer be in a world where you're reacting because your competitors out there are now becoming proactive. This ultimately will lower support costs and can drive reoccurring revenues for your business and really ultimately save you money because your problem to resolution will be faster. There's a rough statistic out in the industry that 80% of network issues, the time to solve those and resolve those issues, 80% of that time is spent trying to figure out what the issue is in the first place rather than solving it. So if we can reduce the problem to resolution much faster, then you're ahead of the curve. Now I mentioned our solution is designed specifically for Mitel. What we did is we worked on the 3300, the MCD platform first and foremost, and our solution actually grew out from that. And what do I mean by that? We started with a feature set, and based on customer and reseller demand, our solution has grown to include other entities within the Mitel infrastructure, as well as third-party devices. And I'll get to that in just a minute. So what is MarWatch really? At the crux of it is these things. Secure remote access, 24/7 performance monitoring. What goes along with that is the real-time alerts and the detailed reporting, providing value back to your customer. And this includes the 24/7 support monitoring includes advanced features, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So again, it's around-the-clock performance monitoring, detects problems quickly before they impact the customer experience. So where is MarWatch in terms of offerings in a commercial space? Well, within Mitel, we're actually embedded in a few different programs, as you can see here. And I'll kind of just quickly go over these. The first is the Mitel Cloud Solutions, or the Mitel Anywhere Net Solutions program. For every deployment out there, this particular outfit is utilizing MarWatch to ensure that their customers are up and running smoothly. Starting in MyCloud 2.0, we will be a bundled component within that. More details on that when the program gets completely solidified. We're also included in the TSP, or Total Solutions Program. That's the leasing program offered by Mitel. The maintenance contract that comes associated with that program includes MarWatch monitoring. And also Mitel is utilizing this as part of their remote monitoring and access service, which the acronym there is RMAS. And this is actually what's being offered in the Total Solutions Program. So RMAS, really what it is MarWatch being utilized by Mitel and their technicians and their RMAS team in both of their North American call centers, resolving issues as they occur. Now, this is offered to both Mitel direct customers as well as customers of partners. So perhaps your organization isn't set up to be able to offer a NOC type solution. You can lean on Mitel for this type of solution. We're also bundled into premium software assurance, and this is partner-based sales. So this is MarWatch for the partner to run their own NOC. And I'll talk a little bit more about this program in just a minute. And then, last but certainly not least, we do have the partner-managed software service product. And what this is an a la carte thing. We're available in Sales Workbench. We can select parts and monitor. Subsequently, you will have licenses to monitor your customers. So I mentioned I'd talk about premium software assurance. So the way this program works today, for any contract that you sign up premium software assurance to, or customer, the different associated devices that are associated with that contract, whether that be an MCD or a MAS server, are a part and parcel entitled, you're entitled to use MarWatch for those particular devices. So what happens behind the scenes is we get a list from Mitel's licensing system of the different devices that have premium software assurance tagged to them and their app record IDs. So what we automatically do is create licenses for these devices and upload them to your MarWatch instance. Now, if you don't have a MarWatch instance, you can see here there are sort of 3 steps to this. You can contact us first and foremost, support@martellotech.com, or you can dial the number below. Again, just a reminder that this presentation will be available, so you'll have this number at your fingertips. Then our support team will actually set up your instance and get you quickly going with login credentials for MarWatch. And then you'll be able to add those devices that you have part of your premium software assurance contract. And of course, our support technician team will be there to walk you through this, to get you going. And then once your MarWatch instance is set up, any subsequent premium software assurance orders that you place, those licenses will be automatically loaded into your MarWatch instance. So just here at the bottom, just highlighting what I just said. Mitel MarWatch is now part of premium software assurance and support. And again, this is for partner sales, for the partner, for you guys to run your own managed service. And it's for renewals on Mitel premise-based products. So premium software assurance contracts associated with premise-based contracts. If you are a service provider, keep in mind that that is not a premise-based sale. So premium software assurance is not included in that particular environment. So going back to the different aspects of MarWatch, the first feature is the remote access. So for our remote access solution, there's actually no VPN required. What we offer is anywhere in the world, without the need of a VPN, a one-click access to the particular devices that you need to get in communication with and log into. It's secured with an SSL encryption, And as a matter of fact, everything is utilizing port forwarding and secure SSH tunneling. So what we do is we actually put our software onto the customer's network, and it will connect to the device that you want to remote access via a secure SSH tunnel, and then communicate outbound to our central server. It's from here, within your MarWatch instance, you have access to our central server and the data associated with your customers. And this way we have a secure end-to-end remote access connection, but more importantly, the connection is outbound from your customer's network. So when you're dealing with IT managers, this conversation is a much easier conversation to have, that everything is outbound from their network. Now, the way that we've structured this allows for you to run ping and trace route tools off that inherent software on the customer's network. And it's actually the impetus for some of our advanced features that are coming in the future, and I'll talk about that in just in a few slides from now. We are working at the moment on an automatic or a single sign-on, and so that should be coming in the coming months. So that's the remote access. The other component here is the performance monitoring, or really what this is the meat and potatoes, I'd like to call it, of the MarWatch tool. We offer a range of performance indicators. Some of the basic ones are included, and some of the very advanced ones are included. So the availability of your device, is it reachable? What's its memory utilization? What's its CPU utilization? Of course, we're alarming on these different things based on thresholds. Now, those thresholds can be configured, but more importantly, we have an out-of-the-box MyTel standard framework for these alerts and alarms that go along with the performance monitoring. Now, we'll pull information via our proprietary connections with the MyTel gear of the inventory. So the app record ID, the hardware ID on the MCD, or the MyTel border gateway. We will be able to pull the voice quality statistics as a measure of R factor. So you as the user can set different thresholds for alarms that you'd like to see. So if a user experience dips below a certain numerical number in terms of their codec or that kind of thing, you can actually set up alarms around that. And then we also can connect directly out to the handsets on the MyVoice business and the border gateway, the tower workers. So we can see if those handsets are unplugged. We can get information about the configuration of those sets. So, what's their MAC address, subnet, gateway, IP address, that sort of information. And then subsequently, if any of those sets gets unplugged, you'd like to know. Now you see here on the left we have a coming soon active testing tool. So I talked about this software, our probe software on the customer's network. Well, it actually is going to be the impetus for this active testing tool, where we will be able to measure by creating real-time traffic from maybe a user's handset directly to the gateway itself or another endpoint. And based on that, we'd be able to see the round trip, packet loss, delay, jitter. And really what that ultimately allows us to do is pinpoint exactly where the issue is occurring on a customer's network. So if it's a carrier issue, we will now have substantial evidence to be able to give the customer. Or if it's a LAN issue on their network, again, being able to inform the customer and show them exactly where their issues and their trouble spots are will be paramount with that tool. So that is coming very shortly. We are releasing version 5, and then subsequently in version 5.1, we expect the active testing tool to be released. Which leads me to the advanced features. So you can see here, coming soon, active testing is one of the advanced features. But we do have some advanced features available to you now. The first and foremost is secure offsite backup for the MyVoice business. So what we can do there is automate a backup. What's included in this backup is the configuration files, embedded voicemail, and call history. All of that gets backed up to our cloud, and it's available for download. Now, I did mention the sets, IP set monitoring. This is what I was just talking about, the ability to monitor the set themselves, getting a list of inventory of that set, and then knowing if any sets are disconnected. So this feature comes in handy in industries where there's a compliance need to have an emergency phone, whether that be in a building, at bedside, in a residence, in a college or university environment. We see a lot of demand for this particular feature in those type of scenarios. But there's some other use cases for it which are just as compelling. Many offices now are moving to the virtualized space where they're completely teleworker driven. To know whether those teleworkers are being unplugged or if you're having bandwidth issues with the carrier is something important to know, and that sets inventory monitoring allows you to do that. So I mentioned our solution has grown based on reseller and customer demand. And as you know, network voice issues aren't just driven by the PBX, although we often see the PBX blamed for voice issues. We know that these issues are elsewhere. Often, bandwidth issues on the network or outside of the network. And with that in mind, we've added third-party device support. So servers, routers, standard switches, that kind of thing, to be able to look at the bandwidth and really look at those devices through the lens of voice. Now, that leads me to another coming soon advanced feature that will be coming, that is not listed here, which is the support for any SNMP device. And what that really means is the ability to add any device to MarWatch that has SNMP support. So to give you an extreme example, if you wanted to monitor a printer and you had a MIB for that printer, you'd be able to add the printer and get alarms around whether the printer is out of ink or out of paper. So if you see value in that, that feature is coming in the near future as well. So a lot of exciting stuff happening here that version 5 of MarWatch gives us the ability to do. Now, kind of moving along with the features here, the real-time alerts. Now, I've hinted at some of this already, but we can get alerts out of the system over a few different methods. The most standard and commonly used method is email. So you can actually configure in MarWatch maybe a group of individuals by day to receive all alarms, and maybe you want a different group by night to receive maybe just critical alarms. So you can actually customize your alarm notification in that way. You can also do this over SMS, so text message, and you can do the combination email and text message. It comes in quite handy. But those aren't the only ways we can get alerts out. We can actually send out or broadcast alerts over Twitter to a closed-knit Twitter group. This is actually growing in popularity. We have many partners that are doing this. And then we also have the ability to send out alarms, and this is more of an integration play with maybe another trouble management system that you might have, over SNMP traps. So a northbound interface into, maybe it's SAP, maybe it's HP OpenView, or Tiger Claw, which is another big CRM used in the industry. We can integrate in that way by sending out alarms so they're managed in one location. So these real-time alerts actually warn when there's any sort of breaches and thresholds. And again, throughout the tool you have the ability of customizing some of those thresholds. Or more importantly, if an actual issue is being alerted. So we have selective, the ability to selectively alert and filter alarms by customer, by region, severity, time or day of week. And I mentioned that in terms of having different groups of people respond to alarms at different times of day. And of course, the color coding follows MITEL standard convention, minor, major, critical, from yellow to orange to red. And then some of the alarms here are listed at the bottom. Those are certainly not all of them, but some of the more important ones around voice quality, systems not responding, license expiry, so that's an important one. We're talking about the actual licenses on the PBX itself, memory utilization, etc. And then what goes along with this, and I think provides value not just to you as the managed service provider, but particularly to the customer, is the detailed reports. So we have a monthly report that's generated via PDF. It's sent out over email. And you can also generate these reports on demand for customer or specifically for a device. What is contained in the report are all the necessary pieces of information around the devices that are being monitored. So that could be the voice quality over the period in time in which you're looking at the report, the system reachability, particularly the availability and the downtime of that particular device, how many times it was remote accessed, and other important information around latency and that sort of thing. So I mentioned that these reports are generated on a monthly basis, but you can generate reports on demand. So you can do this on a device level, so you maybe just want to look at one device, maybe that's the PBX, or maybe you want to do it for an entire customer and send that report to the customer or to upper management. Now, because the way that we've developed the tool, we really provide this to you as the partner as your managed service. So I'll talk about the user interface in just a minute, but we do have the ability to customize branding inside of the instance, which actually gets carried through to the reporting. So you can have a custom message with your own logo space inside of the report. So it really becomes your managed service. So I mentioned I talk about the UI or the dashboard. So I mentioned it is something that can be branded. I don't know if you can see on my screen there, but there is a picture of a tablet with our user interface. My plan is to show you, if we have time permitting, to show you the dashboard itself. But you can see in this image here that this one is branded for Mitel, but we would brand the instance for your company. Now, we do have a picture of a tablet, and what that really means is our UI is completely using modern web technology. It's mobile ready, so if you want to view on an iPhone, iPad, Android device, that kind of thing, you can, especially in this day and age where we do have technicians using tablets out in the field. So you can see it uses standard web browsers, so IE, Firefox, Chrome are supported. It's secure using HTTPS and SSL. I talked about that already. It's standardized for mobile devices, and all your critical data is contained inside of the dashboard, and it is brandable. So some of the supported devices from a Mitel perspective are listed here. So the MyVoice, MyVoice 250, MyCollab, which is an MSL server that we can monitor. My Contact Center is a new device. There are about 26 named services behind the scenes that we can monitor from My Contact Center. And so this is an important endeavor for both Mitel and for the partner community. And so we endeavor to create robust monitoring around the My Contact Center. The border gateway. So this is actually an interesting device for us because we can actually capture SIP trunk information as well as the teleworker voice quality by monitoring the border gateway. And what goes along with that is actually the secure call recorder. Sometimes, because of bandwidth issues, calls actually bypass the secure call recorder and go directly to the PBX. Well, we have the ability to detect that and alert on it. And then at the bottom here, because of the acquisition as well, we've added support for the Oasis call recorder. There are some other devices that we support that we haven't listed here. Some are not Mitel devices, such as the Redbox call recorder, which is a big device in Europe. And again, just a reminder that we do have an NES&MP device functionality coming, and that will allow you to maybe add the IP deck solution. And you can see here coming soon, we're working on this at the moment, is the MyVoice MX1 as part of the Astra merger. And what will follow on this is the A400. So keep your eyes peeled for those. They are coming, and our developers are working hard on this at the moment. So I talked about some of the third-party devices, so here they are here. So there's some other ones. I mentioned the Redbox as a new device. The other one is the inline voicemail system that we see in the hospitality space has been added. In the past, we've added UPS systems, switches. Routers are really key, particularly if we're running a hosted type service where you want to know whether any voice packets are being dropped at that gateway router level. We have the ability of detecting that. Okay, well, we're doing great for time here, so I can actually turn our attention to our web demonstration. Just a reminder, I'll go through some of this, and if there are questions, which there usually are, we're going to save those for the end. So let's turn our attention to the web demo now. And I think we are now sharing. So this is our web portal for the MarWatch tool. You can see here, this one is branded for Mitel. Just a reminder, we can brand this for you, the partner. Now, this main page is our administrator page, if you will. So this is really where you can manage your whole customer deployment. So you may set up different regions and things like that. But really what this is telling you is your entire service to all your customers and what it looks like. So you can see up top here we have different alarms. We have functionality around putting in owner and ticket information. We have a map that tells you what the most severe alarm is at your customers' locations. And then we've grouped customers into these groupings by geographical region. Now this is one of the changes to MarWatch 5 that is coming. So we're actually still looking at an older release, not 5. I don't have a live 5 system yet to show you, but how this will change is version 5 will be multi-tenanted. And what that means is today we have a hierarchical system. So we go from reseller to inside of a region to a customer. And what we'll be able to do in version 5 is containerize that. So what that means is if you have a device and you just want to assign access to one particular device, you can actually do that in version 5. It also means we can brand, as I mentioned, we can brand this whole instance for a partner, but maybe you want to brand the sub-tiered customer pages with their logo and colors. So if you're running in an environment where there's a distributor model, both the distributor, the partner, and the customer can all have access to the same system, yet not have data overlap. So that's something important, and it's a big change for us, and it allows us to be more flexible, extensible, as well allows us to scale very, very nicely. So that's some of the changes here. Let's just jump out to a customer page really quickly. And we'll quickly look at this, and then I'll take you to an MCD page. So here, you can see this information is specific for this customer now. It's very similar to the main page. I can put in contact information for this customer. The map, utilizing geocoding, is zooming in specifically to the customer's location. We have a customer-wide voice quality graph, and I have an alarm rate, so what new alarms are popping into the system. And the inventory goes along with this. So how many devices are in the clear, what's my alarm breakdown, and what particularly am I monitoring for this customer. So that's all here. And you can see here, this is where I can actually generate a custom-wide report. And just a quick note on the reporting. Today they're generated in PDF. In version 5, they will both come out in PDF, and you can export into other exportable file types, such as Word or Excel, so you can customize your reports. Now, the reports don't just stop there. We have the ability of creating custom queries for you as well. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to jump back out to the main page here. And I'm going to show you, if I click on the Alarms panel, we do have some custom queries that are preloaded inside of the system. So here we can see critical alarms by day, and I can actually generate this report. I do have here critical alarms by device type, so maybe we want to look at that. Maybe I want to go back and look at a week view. So you can see the different devices, the critical alarms as a tally, and of course I can export this to a CSV. You can see I've opened it. That's not my intention, but nonetheless, I have this ability, and this goes on top of the reporting functionality that we have today. So let's just jump back into that customer page, and I will take you to an MCD. And I'll quickly show you what that looks like, and then I think we'll open it up for questions. So I've clicked now on an MCD page here. So you can see, and again, I have this loaded in a smaller web browser, so things are kind of rendering a little bit different. Things are getting stacked on top of each other. Now that is a good, because we don't have as many scroll bars, because our modern web technology allows us to be tablet ready. But ideally, you'd actually perhaps be using this in maximum view, and you'd be able to see a lot more at one time. Now, we have device information here, so we can see who the customer is. Again, another place to input that information. We automatically get the uptime of this particular PBX, as well as the app record ID and hardware ID. Now, as I go through this, keep in mind that I'm open to setting up individual demos for customers and partners that are interested in the solution. I'm kind of just going through this at a very quick pace. There's certainly a lot more here to look at. So of course we ping the device, make sure it's alive. We'll alarm on the CPU and memory utilization. If I just work my way down here, you can see that we automatically pull the license utilization. So how many licenses are there, how many are used, and of course if you want to receive an alarm if any licenses are maximized, you can do that. Now just a quick snapshot into the voice quality, and there's more explanation into this that perhaps we don't have time for, but what this is all the calls that are happening on the PBX switch and their associated R factor value. And if you're not familiar with R factor, MOS scores are derived from R factor, so it's just a metric that is measuring the quality. So here we can actually see all the calls that are happening, and below what the best, average, and worst call was at this time period. Now the great thing, if we think about a real-life scenario, is you have a user that's complaining about bad voice. Well, we can actually go back in time, maybe it's Monday and Tuesday of last week, and filter the graph that way, as well as filter the graph by their directory number. So let's assume I've done that. I can actually click on the graph and get information about all the calls that are happening across that particular set. What we're looking at is all the sets actually. And we can see here the start time of the call length, the R factor value, as I just mentioned. And I can give you more information on it, our individual calls about this, our IP source, destination, codec, and then information about the call. So what was the delay, the jitter, the maximum jitter, and the packet loss. And of course I can filter this graph. So if I think about users utilizing this, this particular feature in the field, one of the highlights or the key benefits of this is you do not have to leave your location, and you can already start diagnosing what's happening on a customer's location. So whether this customer is located on the other side of the world, I can now start going, well, this particular call is bad. We can see the jitter is quite high. Perhaps I'm monitoring other devices on the network. Or in the very near future, you can run our network assessment tool that will pinpoint exactly where that problem is occurring. Kind of just working our way along through the MCD here, and I'm just trying to be mindful of time. We do have the ability to monitor and track the trunk utilization. I don't have a whole lot going on here. But based on that, I can see the maximum, so it's not used, utilization per trunk group. I also have the ability of monitoring the sets. I mentioned this on the call. It's one of the advanced features. I can monitor the sets. I can download all this information as well. And you can see here, the set inventory came into my downloads. And of course, you can alarm if any of those sets are unplugged. And then we have the ability to pull the raw SMDR files. So the idea with this feature is we can pull this information and send it to a server of your choice for any advanced services such as call accounting, toll fraud, you name it. It's just a simple, easy feature to automate this for you rather than having your technicians do this on a daily basis. Now, I mentioned the remote access is our first landing point in terms of functionality and benefits and features. One thing I had forgotten to mention is not only can you connect to any device over any standard port forward, and that connection be outbound from the customer's network, we can also connect directly to the call management software. So if you have any configuration changes to make to this particular PBX, we have a one-click access directly to, in this case it's ESM because we're looking at the MyVoice Office, the MCD system, so we can connect directly to it. And then lastly here for the MCD, and this goes for routers and switches as well, we have the ability to monitor the ports or the interfaces themselves and see what the availability is, the bandwidth, the packet loss, and of course the protocol errors. So if there are any large spikes in bandwidth here, you're going to receive an alarm. So in this way you're ensuring that this device is running at its optimal. You're on top of any impending issues before it creates a reboot scenario or brings the system down. So that's the MCD. Now, of course, I could go on. I could show you the MBG, the My Contact Center, and device by device. I'd be here for hours, but I recommend you get in touch with me, and we can set up an individual web demonstration for you. And I'm just going to stop the screen share now and just switch over for any questions. Okay, so I do have some questions here. I'm just going to open some of these. Okay, so I have a question from Fred Kawuya. Hopefully I pronounced that right, but nonetheless, apart from SNMP alarm monitoring for MX1, is there any other performance indicators monitored planned for this platform? Yes, absolutely. So it's not just going to be SNMP enabled. So one thing I didn't mention about how we pull information over two protocols. One is SNMP. We poll systems as well as we accept SNMP traps. But we also connect over a proprietary API into the MyTel space. Well, it's this same type of idea for the MX1, so we will be able to pull the voice quality statistics among other advanced features. So, stay in touch, and we'll keep you posted as soon as we've got a beta to present you. But the idea is it's going to go beyond just SNMP monitoring. I do have another question. Is there an on-site demo available to MyTel authorized partners? I believe there is one. I will have to check back with you on MOL. We did do a recording in the past, but as our product changes very, very quickly, every 4 to 6 weeks we're adding new things, and my suggestion is perhaps doing an online version, and we can record it then, and that way you have a demo of the most up-to-date MarWatch release. And that was Nicholas Peltier that had asked that. I do have a question from Aaron Hastings. What sort of information is shown beyond basic SNMP for the MyCollab and the Oasis? So yeah, this is a very good question. So yes, over SNMP we get server information for both of these servers. But what we utilize is Windows service monitoring for the behind-the-scenes stuff. So we actually, if you think about the My Contact Center, we're monitoring the application My Contact Center, seeing if it hiccups or falls down. So that's automatically loaded inside of the My Contact Center. Of course, there are many other services. There's a whole list of them. The IVR as well is included in that. So I can actually get you a more comprehensive list. And the same thing goes for the Oasis call recorder. I do have a oh, just a correction. This is for the My Contact Center, not My Collab. And I think I addressed the question correctly. And so those are the questions we've had so far. If there are any others, please fire them over in the next minute. But I don't have any other questions at the moment. But I would remind you that my contact details are here if you need to get a hold of me. And I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have that come to you after the call. Like I said, I'd be available to set up and sit down with you and talk about your organization and what kind of managed service that you're looking to provide, and provide you with any answers to questions and a demo, and perhaps even help you with a customer opportunity. And then I have another question, a pricing and configuration overview from within Sales Workbench. I'm not sure I'm clear on what the question is. Are you looking for an overview on how to configure MarWatch inside of Sales Workbench, or is this a question on whether it is configurable in Sales Workbench? I can answer the second part of that assumed question. It is configurable in Sales Workbench. In terms of doing an overview for that, I can provide an overview for that. I can't today inside of this web demonstration, but I certainly can provide that offline if you'd like. Okay, well, if there aren't any other questions, I think it would probably be a good place to sign off. And I look forward to connecting with you offline for all your monitoring and management needs. Thank you. And this will draw an end to our call.